This week on Campground Rundown, we'll be reviewing Hardin Ridge Campground, Southern Indiana. It's attached just to the southernmost part of Monroe Lake Reservoir. As you're pulling in, wide, easy turns, coming through the country, easy sign, good signage, easy to find. You'll have a manned station. They'll assist you in signing in and showing you the location where you need to go. The roads in and out of the different legs are paved, wide, easy to maneuver, even with the amount of boats and extra vehicles you're going to find parked in the campsites. One thing of caution with this campground being right on Monroe Lake and actually having a ramp to Monroe Lake, you do get a lot of boating traffic and a lot of boating camping traffic. At Hardin Ridge, you're going to have a variety of campsites. Here they range everywhere from a gravel walk-in tent site to a semi-paved, fairly large pull-in site, back-in site for campers. On the lake that we're on right now, there are no playgrounds and there is no walk-in camping. So it's a fairly quiet, very isolated spots. You'll see again 20, 30, 40 yards in between spots. And what's nice about this camp layout is there's no one behind you. They've set these sites up down the different legs that we'll talk about to where there's several hundreds of yards in between the roads. That way you can't see or hear anyone that's camping around you. Hardin Ridge has very good campfire setups from the enclosed system that we have, and then there are also a raised one that comes 2 to 3 foot out of the ground. And as you can see to the side, our next closest camp that direction is a good 80, 90 yards. While we did have some reservations because we were camping right across from one of the newer shower houses, because of the isolation of no campgrounds and no walk-in camping at this area, we've hardly seen anyone using it. At Hardin Ridge, there's 6 different legs you can choose to camp on. The one we're going to show next is the Southern Point leg, which is primarily the tent camping area. No electricity, no water, a little more of a roughing it style. A lot of campsites, still fairly good size. You'll get a lot of tents, a lot of people back in this area. As with all the legs, when you're making your reservation and you look on the map, the sites to the right are pre-registered that you can do up to 6 months in advance. Any of the sites that are off to the left are first come, first serve, with the idea that those will fill up fairly quick. All of the legs have fairly new shower houses, wash houses. Most of the legs have multiple camp hosts that can assist you. Because of the location of the Monroe Lake and this campground having its own boat ramp, you will get a lot of boating traffic, both parking and driving through this campground. But because of how these sites are located, the noise isn't really an issue. There's enough room and space in between each of the legs that you can't see the campers on the backside. You'll only see the campers that are right across the street from you. Each of these legs are situated on hilltops, so you've got quite a bit of viewing down slopes, down into valleys behind the sites you'll be on. Looking at the Bluegill leg, this is one of the longer legs. Again, sites on the right are able to pre-register. Sites on the left are all first come, first serve. In this area, you're going to find good, wide, deep sites, many of them being paved, very level. They're not that close together. You do have a little bit of room to move. Noise is not an issue. This section does have a large playground. You will get quite a bit of kids on bikes. The Bluegill leg does have several of the smaller bathhouses and some of the walk-in camping. So while there's not as many spots for the bigger campers, you will get quite a bit of pedestrian traffic, bike traffic, off Bluegill. On the legs, Hardin Ridge does have several of these, what I call pull-out spots, such as this, where the actual spot is just a little bump out on the road itself. It gives you room to get your camper off, and maybe your vehicle, depending on the size of it. So you do need to pay attention when you're making your reservations to make sure if that's what you want, that's what you're getting. Here's another example where it's just a little cutout. You're going to pull right off the road. If you've got slide outs or a bigger camper, it's going to be tight because it's going to put you right at the edge of the road itself. Some of the turnarounds at the end of the lanes can get a little tight, or you're going to run a tire off into the ditch. Up on the right, it's going to be an example of one of the cutout sites that we talked about earlier. You're just right off the side of the road. You do have an area down below that, but as far as parking your vehicle and your camper, you're on the road itself. Pulling down the pine leg. Again, this does not have a playground or a walk-in tent camping. So we just have not seen them have foot traffic or vehicle traffic, even though it is one of the longer legs and has a few more campsites to it. It's just been a little more isolated, a little quieter. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of space between the sites. Specifically on Pine in this area, there's no one across from you. On a few of the legs, they do have some small fishing ponds that you're able to use, along with going to Monroe and fishing there. Quite a bit of distance between some of these sites down in this area. One of the other issues with Hardin Ridge is it does have a tick infestation. Every time we've been down here, leaves have been out, we've had tick issues. And we've stayed on several different legs, and it's always been the same problem. So you will need to make precautions for that. Hardin Ridge does have limited hiking trail options, with really only one main trail that parallels the drive on the way in, and two smaller trails that kick off down some of the lanes. There's no national park here or state park close in the area that ties into this, so your hiking will be limited. If you go down to view the boat ramp area, there is a rather steep hill. They don't suggest you bring your campers down in this area unhooked before you pull down in here. There is a small day use area that ties into the boat ramp. Again, it's a very small, tight turnaround. Will get busy, so it's not something you want to come down in with your camper. If you come down this area, you want to unhook first or walk down. Right by the boat ramp area, there is the availability of renting a few of the cabins they have available. Very isolated area. There's no camping back in here. It is just for day use and the cabins themselves. Cabins have some of the better views in the park. This is an overlook from one of the cabins. You will see some wildlife, occasionally deer, a few turkey. One of the few issues at Hardin Ridge is the size and location of the dump station. With the number of campers you have staying here, It's not really built to be efficient. It's a small turn in, tight turn in, 2-lane. They'll get quite a bit of a backup on a normal weekend. Some of the bigger campers, depending on how they pull in, actually block the second lane. And again, that causes more of a backup and just a time waste sitting here while you're waiting your turn. Little nighttime shot at Hardin Ridge. Typical camping weekend. We're 0 for 3. We've had rain every time we've been out.